I stepped back without guilt, without apologies, without the need to justify my distance. For the first time, I didn't feel responsible for how others interpreted my silence. I understood that silence was no longer avoidance, it was alignment. When you stop being available, people reveal something important. Not through words but through behavior. They show you whether they valued you or only what you provided. Some people stayed. They adjusted. They learned how to reach me with respect instead of expectation. They noticed the space and stepped into it gently. Others disappeared. Not angrily. Not dramatically. They simply drifted away, unable to connect without access. Unable to maintain a relationship that required effort instead of entitlement. Both answers mattered. Because both told the truth. I didn't chase the ones who left. I didn't reward the ones who stayed. I observed calmly, honestly, and let the reality settle where it belonged. In choosing myself, I didn't become cold. I didn't become distant. I didn't become difficult. I became whole. Whole people don't explain their boundaries. They live them. And in that wholeness, I finally understood something simple and permanent. Being available is a choice. Being whole is a responsibility. And this time I chose myself. Clarity didn't arrive as a dramatic realization. It settled slowly, like dust after movement stops. I saw the truth plainly. My reactions had been mistaken for obligation. My emotional availability had been assumed, not appreciated. What I gave freely had been treated as something I owed. When I stopped reacting, they didn't lose me. They lost control. They lost predictability. They lost regulation. They lost the comfort of knowing I would always respond in ways that kept things smooth. And that told me everything. I had never been valued for who I was, only for how I managed things. That understanding didn't make me bitter. It made me free. Because once you see the structure clearly, you stop blaming yourself for standing inside it. The next day felt quieter. Stronger. They stopped assuming I would show up automatically. They hesitated before asking. Some stopped asking altogether. And for the first time, I didn't chase usefulness. I let space exist. And in that space, I could finally hear myself. That night, doubt returned. Maybe you're being distant. Maybe this isn't fair. But fairness had never protected me before. I remembered how often I had been available at my own expense. How often I had responded while exhausted, present while unseen. Availability without appreciation is self-erasure. And I was done erasing myself. That was when the pattern became clear. My availability had delayed replacement. It hadn't prevented it. People don't panic when you're loud. They panic when you become unreachable. Because unreachable means uncontrollable. And control, I realized, had always been the comfort, not me. By the third day, the panic appeared, subtle, controlled, but unmistakable. A task I always handled was reassigned. Casually. As if planned. As if I hadn't been central to it for years. They watched me when they said it. I didn't react. My calm unsettled them more than anger ever could have. Anger invites negotiation. Calm closes the door. They kept talking, explaining themselves unnecessarily. I listened. Concern followed soon after. Is everything okay? They asked carefully. It is, I said. Again, silence followed. Concern faded quickly when it didn't restore access. Because concern had never been about my well-being. It had been about regaining availability. That's when I understood. People confuse availability with closeness. Remove one and the other is tested. The second day confirmed what I suspected. People don't notice presence. They notice absence. Someone asked where I had been. Another joked that I was hard to reach lately. Their smiles didn't reach their eyes. I responded politely, briefly. No over-explaining. No emotional cushioning. Plans were made without checking my schedule. Decisions moved forward without my confirmation. Not because I wasn't needed, but because I wasn't instantly accessible. And that felt unfamiliar to them. By afternoon, the shift became visible. Messages stacked up. Tones changed. Friendly requests sharpened into impatience. Availability, once assumed, had become uncertain. And uncertainty made people uncomfortable. I realized then that my availability had never been kindness alone. It had been access. Access to my time. Access to my energy. Access to my emotional labor. By stepping back, I wasn't withdrawing love. I was withdrawing permission. That night, guilt tried to step in. Old instincts urged me to apologize for distance I hadn't explained. But I stayed still. Availability, I learned, is addictive not just for those who receive it but for the one who provides it. And I was finally breaking the habit.
The day I stopped being available didn't feel rebellious. It felt practical. I woke up already tired, not of work, not of people, but of being reachable in ways that never reached back. My phone buzzed with familiar requests, unfinished conversations, expectations that had learned my silence meant try harder. That morning, I didn't respond immediately. I noticed how automatic my availability had been, how quickly I used to answer, reassure, clarify, show up. Availability had become my default personality. It was how people recognized me, how they depended on me. So, I paused. Hours passed. Nothing collapsed. No emergency surfaced. The world continued without my immediate presence, and that realization felt heavier than expected. Later, someone said, "I tried calling earlier." "I know," I replied calmly. They waited for an explanation. I didn't give one. That was new.